Okay, so here we've got all of our options here. So which one of these pictures do you guys think has a correlation of +1? Type it in the box. Yep, the third one on the top, sure. This one, totally. This is a total positive correlation. Which one has a perfect negative correlation? -1. The sixth one, good. Yep. And then which one has a do a private chat with this one. So which one of these has a 0 correlation? Private chat it. Awesome. I haven't heard from everybody yet. I've heard from like 6 people. So it's on the bottom. The 0 correlation. No correlation at all. So it is the last one here. So the fourth one on the bottom row, this one right here, this one has no correlation at all. So again, this one's perfect correlation positive. This is a negative correlation, perfect correlation negative. So this is -1, and this one's 0. So then we have to figure out which of these two is which one. These two are both positive. So looking at 0.5 and 0.8. Which of these is more like a line? The left one or the right one? The left one or the middle one? Yeah, the right one, the middle one. This is more like a line. So it means that this one should be closer to 1. Does that make sense? So which of these numbers is closer to 1? 0.8, yep, so this one's 0.8, which means this one's 0.5. Likewise, down here, which of these two is more like a line? The left one or the right one? Yep, the right one. So then this one should be closer to -1. Which is closer to -1? -0.3 or -0.8? Which is closer to -1? So I'm trying to get to -1. Which one's closer to -1 between these two? Only 2 people answered. Which of these numbers, -0.3 and -0.8, is closer to -1? In other words, I owe $1. Which one is closest to owing $1? Owing 30 cents or owing 80 cents? Or, yeah, owing 80 cents is closer to owing $1, so it's going to be this one. So this one's 0.8, -0.8. Where's my little thing? Oops, not there. It's the next one. Darn it. I'll move this down so I can do it faster. Sorry. There we go. Perfect. So these are the numbers you guys should have. Go ahead and take a look at them. I'll give you guys just a second to take that in. This will be one of the problems on your exam. I'll give you some numbers or some pictures of some things, ask you to put in what they should be. It's one of the easiest 4 points on the exam, I think, on the final exam. But if you're not here, people who weren't here they have no clue what to do with it. So make sure you're here next class. We're going to practice this again next class a little bit. Okay, moving on. Correlation coefficient. Here's the formula for the correlation coefficient. So the last one we figured out what to do with, what they would look like. So these are those numbers, but how do you actually compute exactly what the number is? How do you take these dots and make them into that number, the correlation coefficient R? So that's what we're going to do here. It's this formula here. So it's kind of a big formula. N times the sum of every x multiplied by its y. So you take every x value and multiply it by its y value. So for example, right, here's the x value, here's the y value. You'd multiply 6 times 82. And then you multiply 2 times 86. And multiply 15 times 43. And then you add up all of those. You add up all those values, you sum all of them. And then you subtract the sum of all your x's, multiplied by the sum of all your y's. and then divide by the square root of the first group here. You see the brackets. First group is going to be n times the sum of your x's squared. This means you square your x's first, and then you add them. Minus this one here. This means, parentheses means you add them first, you sum them first, and then you square it. And the same thing here with this group here. N times the sum of all of your y squares. You square it first, and then you sum them. Minus this one here. First you sum them in parentheses, and then you square it. So this is the formula for that. Also, this is really interesting. This is the same thing. It's equivalent formula. Here's an equivalent formula to it. Is this one here. 1 over n minus 1, because it's a sample, right? So you divide by n minus 1, times the sum of, this is just the z-score for each x, right? X minus x bar over s, right? S, how far it is from the mean, divided by the standard deviation. This is really just its z-score for each x. And then this is the z-score for the y. So y minus y bar over the standard deviation. So you take every x value, you find its z-score, and multiply it by the z-score for its y. So here, I would just take 6, I find its z-score, take 82, find its z-score, and multiply those z-scores together. And then I do the same thing here. I find the z-score for 2, and you find the z-score for 86, and then multiply those together. And you do that for all of your values, and then you multiply them together and just add them up, and divide by n minus 1, and you get the same thing. It's really weird. It's kind of cool. It's really neat. Any rate, so this is the formula that you use, and here is the explanation of what each one of these things stands for, just to remind you. Ashley, do you want to go and read this one for us?
N equals number of pairs of sample data.
Sum of the x's? Sum of the
x's equals sum of all x values, sum of x squared, each x value squared and then added, parentheses, sum of parentheses squared, all x values added and the total is squared. So of x and y equals each x value multiplied by the corresponding y value and then the sum of all such products. R equals linear correlation coefficient of the sample data, and P equals linear
that's row. Whoa, wait, stop. That's row. The bottom one's row. R-H-O.
Oh, row equals linear correlation coefficient of the population of paired data.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, this is row. It's not a P. It's just that little swoopy thing. There's no little notch on it. Okay. So here is an example. We're going to do this one together. This is at the bottom of your page, the very bottom of page 2. So we're going to use our lists. We're going to do the easy way, not the way I did in college because I didn't have a fancy calculator like you guys had. So bust out your TI calculators. You need them. Get them. We're going to do it together. So turn it on, and we're going to go to our lists and put this into list 1 and put this into list 2. Our x's in list 1, our y's in list 2. So stat, edit, remember stats right here in the middle right here, and then enter for edit, and then put all of your x's into list 1, and put all your y's into list 2. So I'll go ahead and do that. 63, 29, 20.8, 19.1, 13.4. 7, 3.9, 2.1, 2.8, 1.4, 1.5. And then, once you put them in, double check your numbers, because if you screw up a number here, then your data is going to be all messed up. Your answer is going to be all messed up, and you have no idea that they're wrong. So double check your data. Make sure you input the right numbers, because it's really easy to mistype something here. Super easy. And judging from some of the answers I got from you guys in the exam, I'm guessing that happened a reasonable amount. Not a reasonable amount, but every once in a while. Okay, double check your numbers. So once you have all of your data entered in here in your lists, then we're going to go to So here's the thing. These are two different variables, right? So it's cars and income, two different things. So we're going to do stat, calc, 2-var stats. So go down to the second one, 2-var stats. And then you're going to do, they're in list 1 and list 2. So second 1 for L1. See my L1 comes in here. Comma's above the 7. Second L2, second 2. That gives you the L2. If you have a fancy calculator, then you're going to put list 1 into your first list, into your X's, and list 2 into your Y's, and then the frequency list, you leave that blank. Or if it's asked for number, you leave that as I guess 1. But if it asks for frequency list, you just leave that blank. And then hit enter. And it gives you it gives me everything. X bar, sum of the X's, sum of the X's squareds, other stuff. My N is 6. Scroll down. Oh, so see it has a little down arrow. You can arrow down over here with your arrows, and it gives you more. Look, there's my Y bar, my sum of my Y's, my sum of my Y squareds, some of my XY's. It gives you everything you need. All those pieces are in there. All sorts of stuff is in there. So again, that's after you put your stuff into a list, stat, calc, 2-var stats, because I have X's and Y's now, 2 variables. Second L1, comma, second L2, enter. And then scroll down with those little arrows to get everything else. These little arrows on the right. You know, the arrow on the little arrow things. Okay, good. So now we have all of our pieces. Right, this is just a picture of it. Right, so here's my X, some of my X's and some of my X's squared. These are the numbers you need. We've got them right there. So now we're going to, don't worry about putting in this part here. We're going to leave that part blank. So don't worry about writing these in. We don't need them. We're going to skip them. And just, oops, didn't mean to do that. Just go ahead and use the formula. Here are the numbers you need. Write the numbers in here into your blank space and use the formula to plug in where they go. So I'm going to break you out into your rooms, and I'm going to put you back in about 3 minutes to make sure you have the numbers in the right spots, and I'll put you back in your rooms. So I'll put you in your rooms for now, and then I'm going to, like I said, I'll put you back in about 2 or 3 minutes just to make sure that you have all the numbers in the right spots. So come on in, take a quick look, make sure you have all the numbers in the right spot, and you can hop back into your breakout room in just a second. I'm going to open them up in a minute. Actually in 29 seconds. I got to wait till they close before I can open them up again. So make sure you double check and make sure you have all the numbers correct.
Christian.
Yeah.
Christian. On the bottom, are those two? Is it one big square root?
Yeah, one big square root. One big square root on the bottom.
So it's not 2 square roots and you multiply them?
They were actually worked out to be the same thing. You can do either way and you get the same answer. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so make sure you can do them as one big square root or you can do them separately. Either way. But make sure you guys, everyone make sure your numbers are all correct. You have all the numbers in the right spots, and then hop back into your room. And I'll put you back in about 2 minutes. I'll give you guys another 2 minutes to finish this up. Is 2 minutes about right? Do you guys need more than 2? Should I give you 3?
No.
Okay.
So for the bottom, after the 153.8, the square root of
you square just that, not the whole thing. Right, so this subtraction, do you see these little these little parentheses around there, you take this and you subtract that. You subtract this squared, and then you square root. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you multiply 6 by 153.8 to the second power, right?
No. Multiply 6 times this, subtract this squared. This squaring is only acting on him. It only acts upon the 153.8 only.
Yeah, so how do we put that into the calculator for the bottom row? So I put in the first half, the top and the first half of the bottom, and then I'm just trying to figure it out for the second 6 times
So
80.67.
find the step in the parentheses first. So you would do this. Six times 5859.26, enter, minus 153, whatever that is, 0.8 squared. And you're only squaring this. That's what goes inside this first box, and then you do the same thing for the second one. And I'm going to go ahead and close the rooms up. So you have to, these are being multiplied. This is being squared, and then you subtract them. So find this squared, and then subtract them.
So we can't put it in one big equation on our calculator? I'm just getting confused on how to put it. So
why would you, just do it in pieces. Why make life difficult? Because then if you screw up one number, then you got to retype the whole thing over again. Just find the pieces. It's not so hard. Sorry, you guys are back. My bad. All right, so this is what you guys should have gotten when you did it. Should have gotten an R of 0.982, which is a strong positive relationship. So you should have found this thing here, found this piece here, multiplied them, and then square rooted it. That's your denominator. So a strong positive relationship means that it's like a line, only it goes upwards, like this. Right? It's a line upwards. Nice, strong, positive relationship. Close to a line. Yeah.
So sorry, if you don't mind, can you show us how to do it on the calculator, if that's okay?
Sure.
Maybe just the bottom part.
Okay. So yeah, so the bottom part, I would do them in pieces. So you see how you have this part right here inside of the brackets? I would just do that first. So 6 times 59.26, I found that. And I subtracted the other part squared, minus 153.8 squared. So that's what I got for the lower part here. And I'll find this part here. You can do it all in one fell swoop, or you can do it in pieces if you want. So this would be 6 times 80.67 minus 18.7 squared. Luckily, it all works out well, because it will do what it should do first. It'll square it first, it'll multiply this second, and then I'll subtract it last. And so you'll get 134.33. So now I'm going to take that 134.33, multiply by what I got here, so times 11501.56, and that gives me my bottom inside the square root. So I need to square root that. So I'm going to do it my shortcut way, which is raising to the 1/2 power, raised to the 0.5 power, and that's my denominator, 1242.98.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, after all that, you don't have to do it anymore. because your nice, new, cool, fancy calculators now do this thing called stat test ln-reg t-test, where all you have to do is, hold on a second, this is not working with me, is, there we go, is put this in list 1 and that into list 2, which you have, right? Everybody has this in list 1 and that in list 2. We're going to use stat test ln-reg t-test. So here's my calculator. I'm going to go to stat, right here in the middle, stat, over to test. You guys see test right here? Hopefully, I'll move it over.
I can't see your calculator. I see what you're doing.
Oh, am I not sharing anymore? Oh, hold on a second. My internet's coming back on. Well, that bites. There we go. Okay, now you can see me, right? Okay, so does everybody see me now? Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good. One person can see me. That's great. Okay, so stat, edit, make sure I have all my data in here. Good. Then I go to stat, tests, over to tests, over here, and then arrow up, because it's at the very bottom. So I'm going to arrow up to ln-reg t-test, not interval, test. This is a test. We're doing t-tests. Ln-reg t-test. Hit enter. My X is in list 1. My Y's are in list 2. Leave that as frequency 1. And you guys listen up. Pay attention here. This part here is going to be not equal to. Because for all of chapter 10 and 11.1 and 11.2, our H1 is going to be not equal to. So we don't care whether you have a negative correlation or a positive correlation. We just care that there is a correlation of some sort, negative or positive. We don't care. So not equal to is fine, just as long as there's a correlation of some sort. So this is going to be not equal to frequency 1. Leave this reg EQ blank. I have no idea what it is. I don't care. Ignore it. Hit calculate. And it's going to give you it gives you a bunch of stuff that's useful. Y equals AX plus B, which we'll use later. There's A, which we'll use later. B, which we'll use later. R squared, and then here's my R. 0.98, if I round 0.982. Done. How easy is that? So you do not need the formula at all. I want you to experience it once so you kind of see what it used to be like in the old days and appreciate the fabulous things your computer can do, your calculator can do. So again, here's my R right there. How do I get there? I put my data into list 1 and 2, and then I do stat, test, arrow up to get to ln-reg t-test, and then leave the frequency at 1. Right? Obviously, your X is list 1, your Y is list 2, frequency is 1. Leave this as not equal to, and leave that blank. Then hit calculate. If you have a fancy calculator, so on the final, this is what you have to do, just this. You do not need to use the formula at all. You don't need the formula, period. You just need to do this. Calculate. If you have a fancy calculator, you might have, no, you should have this, just this. And again, you have to arrow down. There's more stuff. Here are my arrows. Arrow down, and it'll give you more stuff. There's my R right there. Okay? So you guys, again, it's stat test ln-reg t-test. You guys have this one to do. So on your calculators, go ahead, I'll put you in your groups, and do just calculate the R for this. Find R. Do not use a formula. No formula. Just use stat test lin reg t-test. That's it. Put this into list 1, put this list into list 2. Stat test lin reg t-test.